back to the What Are You Made Of show. It's your boy C-Rock here, and I'm with Jared Barakat. Barakat, did I pronounce that right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
what's up, bro? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Always great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. And I'd like to have the light system back there in the background because I understand from my understanding, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but I think that even, in fact, impacts me just looking at the screen here, even though I'm not in the same room with you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, through this code that's scrolling through is we call it coded affirmations. So every affirmation that's scrolling through the screen carries a frequency, and that frequency is neither heard nor seen, but still delivered. So yeah, absolutely, you would be reaping some of the benefit of that coded affirmation.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, look, man, I heard about you through Jason Shirka, and I was like, man, this stuff's awesome. I got to check it out more. And then I didn't see it again for whatever reason, going on my journey, building what I'm building and everything until I was at Biohackers World and saw your booth there. And we didn't get the chance to connect there, but I wanted to have you on the show to share how this all came about, what it does, and what the mission is. And this is the What Are You Made Of show. So we always start with the question, what are you made of?
Wicked. I'm made up of grit and determination through a long, hard life of being knocked down and always managing to pull myself back up. And quite honestly, it's been probably a 15-year battle on my side. And I can tell you that I would, wholeheartedly say that it's nothing shy of all of this that has been able to give me the tools to be able to operate on an optimum level, unlike I have ever been able to before. Not only operating optimally, but now also being able to do it with a greater outlook on life and with a lot more joy for life. So it's super cool. And if you want me to elaborate, I will on how I got there. And what that 15-year battle looked like. I mean, it started with, the loss of my father, followed by a divorce, followed by a loss of a daughter, followed by, pretty substantial emergency spinal surgery, and all those things. Oh, and a loss of a business through, a degenerate business partner and drug addict who sold off all our assets. All that brought me to this place and this company and this technology, and really forged who I am as a man today. Not that the past didn't. The past always creates the future, but it's this technology that allowed me to crawl back up out of that tough time and really be able to do what I finally now am doing with love and passion.
Yeah, love it, man. Well, so what background do you have? Like, where did you come from?
I spent 30 years in the golf business. I'm a soil chemist by trade. I have a degree in agricultural sciences, managed golf courses for a long time. I was sat on the board of directors for the Ontario Golf Superintendents Association up in Canada. I was the Ontario director for the Canadian Golf Superintendents Association, sat on the IPM Council of Canada. I was an expert evaluator for the Canadian Professional Golf Association. I was an instructor for the Golf Management Institute of Canada. So I was very heavily entwined and within the golf community for a very long time. And I ended up starting a consulting business, focusing on high-end golf courses and fine turf. And through that consulting business brought me to California, where I started heading up a large-scale cannabis cultivation operation for, at the time, probably the second largest dispensary chain in California, Nevada. And then I kind of pivoted out of cultivation and started focusing on retail, became a managing director of that business unit. And then COVID happened. I was still living in Canada, but commuting back and forth. So when COVID happened and the borders shut down, I made a decision to go home to Toronto to be with my family rather than not being able to see them. It was an easy decision for me. Managed the business remotely for the better part of a year and a half. And that's when I found out my business partner had been putting all of our money, selling off our assets and putting all of his nose into slot machines. And so there was nothing really to go back there once the borders opened. So I started relying on relationships and whatnot and different things still in the cannabis space in Canada, until I got introduced to, as you say, Jason, Jason asked me to head up his unified healing business. So I focused on that for the better part of 2 years or so. And then the owner of the light system reached out to me and asked me if I would manage that. So for me, it was a great opportunity. I love the product. I love the technology. So I spent about 10 months, operating both businesses. And then in November of 2025, I just said, I can't do both. I can't do both and give each one the justice they deserve. So I made the switch over to becoming the president of the light system and focusing on it wholeheartedly. And that's today.
Great overview. Great overview. All right. So we got to talk about golf first. Did you play? Like, are you a good player?
I played because I had to.
Okay.
I mean, I would average at best. I was a 15 handicapper. I'm not anymore, because when I got out of golf, I said, you know what, I'm never playing again. Just because I did it for so long, because I had to do it. It was business.
Yeah.
But now in the last 2 years, I started playing again.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to enjoy it again.
Like, there's nothing like a nice golf course. Like, not even just playing, but like, I can ride by a golf course and appreciate it, just riding by it. Every time, like, we're in the car, my daughter loves golf too. She's 13. And we'll ride by. Hey, there's a golf course. It's like seeing deer in the field out there. You see a big buck or something. For the guys that like deer hunting and all that. But for me, I see a nice golf course. I'm like, damn, look at that thing, man. So I'm an avid golfer. I just love it so much, and I just love being on just the grass. And anyway, yeah. So so you were in that for a while, and then from there the cannabis, because obviously kind of that fit with the grass and everything else. But then how did you, like, when you met Jason, like, I don't know, how did he think that you'd be good for unified healing?
Well, I think at a time we had a mutual acquaintance, and I mean, I've been running businesses for a very long time in different areas, and so he was looking for somebody that could, take some of the day-to-day stuff off of his back. He's a brilliant man, with a real passion for marketing and building businesses, and he felt that his attention was better served on different areas of that business. And at the time, he had 3 different projects going. So when he brought me on, it was simply to look after day-to-day operations. And I think probably within about a month and a half, he just asked me to take over and run with it. So that's what I did, and I loved it. I mean, it brought me into this community of people around the world, who all just really care about healing humanity. I got to meet a tremendous amount of people that are all, extraordinary, and obviously being introduced to this, which has been the most incredible thing in my life.
Yeah, and what were you doing? What was Unified Healing, like, for the audience that doesn't know? What did that company do?
So Unified Healing was essentially a marketing arm and a community-based membership for businesses around the world that employ technologies like this or similar technologies to this. And so our goal or our mission was to bring that community together so that they could lean on each other and support each other and help each other grow their own respective businesses, but all the while, through lead generation, pushing traffic to their operations.
Gotcha. Okay. And then before we get into the light system, I want to talk about some of the things that you talked about that you've been through and you got through, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the loss of a parent is terrible, and you don't know how you're going to respond to it or what it's going to be like until you go through it. Some people have sudden losses. Some people watch their parents go through, sickness, and it's just terrible. But then also a divorce, and then a business situation. All these things are going on. A lot of times when you're in these situations, and I've been married 23 years, for example, and I know when my wife and I, early on in our marriage, we had to work through some things and all that, but I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. Like, I couldn't figure it out, right? You're in it, and you just can't see, like, obviously you have some input into it, like both parties. It takes 2 to tango. But, like, I remember, like, I just didn't know something. I didn't understand something. So looking back, when you were in it, right, in the chaos, so to speak, like, did you understand what was happening or why it was happening? Or was it kind of just like chaos?
Are we talking the marriage specific or all of that?
Any of it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, what ends up happening when you go through so many things is you just simply start to think, what's wrong with me? Right? What did I do to deserve this? Why is it that every time something starts to look good and get great, that you just get knocked right back down? Right? So that is what went through my mind quite frequently. But again, being a father and a husband now to my new wife, who I call 2.0 because she's new and improved. You don't have the time to wallow in self-pity and look for doubt and blame or anything else, right? Those bills don't go away. Your responsibilities don't go away. Your parenting responsibilities don't go away, and your obligations to your wife doesn't go away. So you don't have time to do that stuff. And so I was never one to do it, which is why I was always able to pick myself up and move on to the next thing. But yeah, I think the answer to your question comes later in life, and it's something that I learned probably only within the last 6 or 8 months, and that was just how truly accountable we all are for every terrible thing and every great thing that happens in our life. Right? Some people say it's living in the matrix and that this is all a fabrication. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but what I will say is that every thought in my mind impacts the result of every day that I live through. So, and if you understand that and you can really truly believe that, then you start to acquire a certain amount of power within you to understand that you are in absolutely 100% control of your today, your tomorrow, your next week, your next month, your next year, and your entire future.
Yeah. It starts with thoughts. I always talk about your thoughts become your words become your actions become the environment that you keep, and that's what creates the universe you live in. And
Yep.
we all have this big, obviously, this universe that we're all living in, but our perceptions are really creating the universes we live in, our individual universes. And it's so true, man. And once you get a control of your thoughts, that's what I did. Like, I figured that part out, and then I was like, oh, I'm the one causing this stuff. I'm the one that, like, actually, it wasn't 50-50 in my situation when my wife and I would like butt heads and things. It was a lot of times it was me. I got to be honest, And once I figured that out, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I just have to fix me. I don't have to fix her too. Yeah. So I think she would probably agree with that too. Anyway, okay, so then let's talk about the partner that you had, and like looking back, were there any red flags or signs that you missed?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, it's in Southern California. Everybody's putting something up their nose. I mean, that's just it was everywhere. Difference is some people, don't know when to say no, and some people, are on that all day long, and then need to go to sleep at night. So they're, putting a bunch of opiates up their nose to fall asleep. And yeah, I had no idea that it had gotten to that point. I really didn't. I knew that he liked to have a good time. But again, like so many other people in Southern California and everywhere, really, they like to have a good time, but no idea that it was of that magnitude. I didn't know that company assets were being sold off. I didn't know any of that stuff. So that was a massive kick in the teeth because, I'm not a young guy. I'm turning 50 years old next week. And this was, 3-4 years ago. And that was my retirement I was building. I was really proud of that business that I had contributed to and built. So, but again, what are you going to do, right? All you can do is focus on the next thing.
Yeah. And then what could you take forward from that? Like what info are you taking forward with what you learned from that whole scenario?
It goes back to what I said a minute ago, right? Accepting accountability. And the reality is that I surrounded myself with the wrong people and put too much trust in the wrong people. And I don't mind telling you, I mean, this was a family member. I mean, this is my cousin. So this is somebody that I should have been able to trust. But anyways, he's in a bad spot right now. I don't, although I'm extremely upset and disappointed. The poor guy is not in a good place. He went from making $50,000 a week to surfing couches, so.
Yeah.
But
well, and again,
in terms of,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of mindset and what to do with that stuff, I mean, that's really where, the light system comes in through, having the innate ability to convince your mind that everything is okay. And when your mind believes that, then your body follows. And so, although I wish I could sit back and say, this is what I learned from X, Y, and Z. I've never really been the kind of guy that focuses too much on the past. I can't. My past sucked too hard, but all I can do is focus on the future. And that's where this stuff really, really helped me and can really help a lot of people, because it extends way beyond thought process and mind control, your own mind control, and mental clarity. If your body can truly understand what it is capable of, and truly understand that it's in a good place, then your body will follow. So it's super cool. And
so how did you
it does have to remember to
were they a part of the Unified Healing? Like, they part of the community? Is that how you got in touch with the Light System guy, the founder, or how did that all shake out?
So what happened was the inventor of the light system and the technology reached out to us, and came to us with an opportunity, and we ended up signing a worldwide exclusive licensing agreement that made us sole manufacturer and reseller of this technology.
Okay, and now tell us about the technology. Tell us like what it is, who he was, like that how did he create this, and what does it do?
I mean, so he is a super cool guy, very spiritual in his own way. But this technology is actually 30 years old. We made it, we upgraded it considerably in terms of its presentation. I like to say it's a hell of a lot more sexier than it once was, through the different shapes and stuff that we have. But again, he was a computer programmer right around the advent of personal computers. He had a passion for computer programming, and at the time he understood, the power of affirmations, but he wasn't, into performing them or receiving them himself, or staring at himself in the mirror and doing it. So he created this technology that would do it for you completely invasively, something that doesn't impact your day. You don't have to sit there and do it. You just have to sit there and be around it. I'm working in front of it all the time, and that's how I receive it. And so that's one part of it. I'm not entirely sure if he fully understood all of the things that were happening, because again, this is 30 years ago. I mean, people weren't really talking about quantum energy 30 years ago. Certainly not a lot of people. And what we're finding now through a lot of research, is that we are producing these biophotonic collisions, and what that is just a collision of photons. When they leave the monitors, those photons collide and create. I mean, I like to say it's a burst of quantum energy that energizes you on a cellular level. It's really not. What it is those two photons canceling each other out, and it's a net cancellation where the quantum energy is generated. And it's through that generation that increases our cellular voltage. Our cellular voltage is super important because we're electrical beings, right? And we need electricity in order to function. And what's more important than that statement is that you need electricity to fight whatever is ailing you. I mean, when we get sick, we eat like horses, right? Or not when we're throwing up, but when you get a cold, you get sick. You don't gain any weight. It's just because you're expending so much more energy to fight that cold. Our body's smart. Our body knows how to do it, but it still needs that energy. And what happens when our energy or our battery, or the energy level within our batteries, or let's just call them mitochondria, gets so low, then that's when we really start to get sick, and we can no longer get better because we don't have the energy storage that we need in order for our body to do what it knows how to do and wants to do, and that's heal.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with mitochondria. I've taken some peptides that they have out now with I don't know if you in peptides at all. You follow along with the.
Sorry, do we have them, or am I on?
No, are you into peptides at all? Have you?
No, I'm up in most of the research. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I did SS31 and MOTS-c. And it's for mitochondrial repair and rejuvenation and all that, man. And I noticed a huge difference. So this affects the mitochondria in your body, the light system.
Yeah, it's increasing your cellular voltage, and it is a mitochondria that carries that voltage.
Yeah.
So And that's one aspect. So the one aspect is increasing your charge in order to be able to function and fight. But the other one is through those coded affirmations that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
When we sit around or when we receive affirmations, or let's just say exposed to words can have an impact on us both positively and negatively. And we know this through, a lot of research done by a Japanese doctor named Masaru Emoto, who did a lot of research on the impact of words have on water. And since we're 70% water at minimum, if you could impact the structure of water through words, you could impact the structure of the water within us through words. And what he found was that, by saying, positive words, or say like beautiful, and I'll paraphrase, but if you were to look at a bowl and tell it it's beautiful of water, and then flash freeze that water, it would freeze in a beautiful crystalline pattern. And anybody can do this test at home. I mean, I've done it. It's really quite cool. I do it with my kids. But if you similarly, or conversely, if you look at another bowl of water and tell it's disgusting or worthless, when you freeze it, it freezes in a more chaotic state, no real beauty to it whatsoever. And then you got to ask yourself, well, how is that possible? I mean, water doesn't have eyes, it doesn't have ears, it doesn't speak French, English, Spanish, Japanese, whatever. It doesn't speak any kind of language. But how did it restructure based on the word I spoke to it or that he spoke to it? The reality is that it's not the word itself, it's the frequency of the word. So every word carries a frequency. And it's that frequency of the word that can restructure the water. And that's why he took his trials even one step further. And now he just looked at the water and thought that the water was beautiful and still managed to restructure that water through thought. And again, that's because that word that he was speaking in his mind carries that frequency, and that frequency is delivered to the water and restructures that water. So that's what this is doing. We encode all of the affirmations. You can't read them because you're not designed to sit there and stare at it. You just have to be around it. So by being around it, those affirmations are being delivered to our body, restructuring the water within our body, creating a more efficient flow of energy now throughout our body. So we've increased the energy. Now we're increasing the efficiency in which energy flows through it. And then lastly is polychromatic therapy, which is essentially therapy from full spectrum light or full spectrum colors of light. So we employ all the different colors through our light system. And, everybody knows about red light and its benefits, but the reality is blue light, yellow light, purple light, green light, they all hold benefits. Orange is great for reproduction, right? Red circulation, blue inflammation, green nervous system, yellow digestion, so on and so on and so on. So we employ all the different colors, and through those real main three avenues, we put the body in a better position to be able to combat whatever might be ailing it.
So look, you don't have to look at it. You just have to be around it.
No.
And how about the light part for the light therapy part of it? Do you have to look at it for that part or no?
No, you just have to be around it.
Okay.
Again, just like you're sitting in front of a red light panel. I mean, if you're standing across the room, you're not going to receive the true benefit of that red light through that red light panel. You need to be in proximity to it to receive the benefit of the color therapy. But in terms of the affirmations, you just have to be within the room. And same thing with the photonic collisions. These are our in-home units. More of our commercial units have opposing panels. And so when the light or the photons leave the opposing panels, they collide right in the center. That collision is all but guaranteed. So it's a lot more intense, a lot more energy in that space. These work very similarly, but what ends up happening is as those photons leave the room will eventually become saturated. And then you'll get collisions here and there and everywhere. So you do receive that within the space that you're in, but certainly not to the extent as some of our other systems like the chair and our commercial systems.
And so how long are the sessions that you need to do for it to be beneficial, being around it?
These you would leave it on your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lot of people have this cube on each of their bedside tables. So they'll sleep in it. And by positioning the two cubes on their bedside tables, now they're sleeping within that photonic collision. In terms of our chair, which I would say is, one of our most powerful units, a session through our research shows that 45 minutes can get you, or an hour will get you about 80% increase in cellular voltage.
Wow, man. Okay. And then
Yeah.
the other thing I wanted to know about with it is the affirmations that it's coded with. Are they programmed just one way? It's standardized, or is there different types of coding that you put into it, or can change it?
We have four different sets of linguistics, but then you can also add in your own. There's 64 characters, so you could add in whatever you want. You know, it's something that's important to you. I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, or I'm unstoppable, I'm unbreakable. You know, or I say perfectly in all dimensions. You know, whatever it is
Right.
that floats your boat. You know, you can program that in yourself. Yeah.
And so, what are the four that you have? Do they have a name or like a type, a topic, or?
Yeah, we've got, I mean, Zyto, which is, you know, one of our more popular ones, and we have 108 Origins, and we have Bible verses, and we have World Harmony and World Peace.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And then,
and by the way, just you can at a stroke of a key, you can translate it to English, so you can see the affirmations you're receiving.
oh, okay.
It's just necessary.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, what did you notice when you had your first experience with this? What effects did it have on you, or did you notice anything, or how did that work?
So for me, it was I had emergency spinal surgery. I walked into the hospital because stuff was going on, and they did an MRI and really didn't want me to leave because I was flirting with paralysis. It was imminent. They just couldn't tell me when. So I made a decision right there on the spot. Walked out of the hospital with a 12-inch scar down my spine, and I'll tell you that pain through recovery was unbearable. Now, I didn't do myself any favors because of what I went through with my cousin. I got off the opiates almost immediately, probably in like week 2 or end of week 2. And with that came like grueling pain. And the only way I could describe it is, you're bedridden, but you still have to get up to go to the bathroom. You get up off your bed and it feels like your spinal cord, your spine is still sitting on the bed. You're halfway to the bathroom, but it feels like your spine's still on the bed. It was bad. And I started using the technology. I had it in my bedroom, which is also, I have an office in my bedroom. So I was around it for 18 hours a day, right? Sleeping in front of it, recovering in front of it, working in front of it. And when I left the hospital, the surgeon said to me that you stay out of the gym for 6 months. He didn't want me going to the gym. He just wanted me, the only exercise I was to get is walking. Week 6 or 7 is probably when I got introduced to the technology. By week 10, I was in the gym. My physiotherapist couldn't believe the rate of recovery. My surgeon couldn't believe it. So no, I didn't notice it, but they did. Right. My surgeon couldn't understand when I walked into his office, and all of a sudden I was getting back into shape. And by September, 6 months later, I was in probably some of the best shape of my life.
And what about mentally? Do you notice anything mentally from it, or?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
that's what I love about it the most.
Yeah,
I love the guy I am when I'm in the technology. Everything is easy. Speech is easy, clearer. I'm happier. I feel more energized. I love who I am, and I love going to the shows because we travel quite a bit, right? We're at quite a few trade shows and stuff. And we travel heavy. We bring almost all of our tech with us. We put people down in our chair unit all the time. And amongst all the chaos of trade show, we've got music blaring in our booth. And then you got music in the hall and people talking and stuff like that. People are out cold in the chair. They're fast asleep almost instantly. They're only in there for 10 minutes is all we can really afford to have people in there for. Almost instantly, they're asleep. And then they get up, we wake them up, they go off and do their thing. And about 5 minutes later, they get a boost of energy. And then that night, they'll have the best sleep of their life. And they all come back. We get them on testimonials all the time about just how wonderful it makes them feel. And it's so nice to see them the next day. This isn't a full session. We're talking 10 minutes. And they've already noticed a difference in who they are after that 10 minutes.
And so these can be utilized in clinics that you guys have partnered with, right? Or they can buy their own for our home. Is that how it works?
So we have, the much larger commercial units are in, we call them clinics or centers. We have dozens of countries. There's hundreds of them around the world. And then we have kind of a hybrid model, which is the chair. which is a very nice chiropractic massage chair that has 4 panels, 2 on either side. And we sell those to like physiotherapists, chiropractors, but also somewhat affordable for people to buy for their homes as well. And then we have the cube, and we have the pyramid. These are in-home units, and we have a sphere as well.
Okay. And what was the one you were telling me about the other day that was like a personal use one? Is that one of those?
Yeah, the cube, the pyramid, or the sphere, they're all personal use.
Okay, gotcha.
And
And
we
there's
just launched a mini cube. So we call it the Cube Mini.
that's
It's
the one you were telling
a
me
smaller
about.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, smaller version than this one. It's lightweight. It's easy to move around the house. We're coming out with a travel case here shortly for people that want to travel with it. But it's used. I mean, prepping dinner, put it on your kitchen counter. You're doing yoga on the floor, put it on the floor with you while you're doing yoga. It's sitting at your desk, put it on your desk. You can move it all around. It's super easy, super lightweight, and it's a really nice looking product.
And the difference between the shapes is just for design purposes, right? It's not. There's no difference benefits with the pyramid, the cube, the sphere.
So there's a lot of power in shape. The pyramid, when we designed the pyramid, we made sure that the geometry matched that of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And within pyramids, there's a lot of power. So it was important for us to harvest that power. When we go to the trade shows, especially some of the ones that we go to, there's a lot of people that are energetically inclined. And they'll walk up to, one person will walk up to the sphere and say, "Oh my God, the power coming from this sphere." Right. And then somebody else will go walk up to the cube and say, "Wow, this cube really, really talks to me." Right. So it really comes down to the individual. We have the test results. I mean, I know what the data says, but at the end of the day, if you're like me, I want to buy something that talks to me. Right. I want to buy something that I like to look at, and that makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
that's what I would do, and that's what I encourage a lot of other people to do. But again, we do have the data that suggests which one is the most powerful.
Gotcha. Okay. And if people want to go deeper with you and learn more about this, where can they go?
TheLightSystems.com. That's lightsystems, plural.com.
That's very easy. How about if somebody wants to learn more about you, Jared, and where can they go?
I'm at jared.barakat on Instagram.
All right, folks, go check him out. Jared, thanks for your time today, man. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in person sometime. Are you based in Hallandale all the time, or is that true?
My home's in Toronto, so
Toronto.
I'm back and forth all the time.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we got to connect at some point, man. Maybe one of these trade shows or something.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
All right, bro.
All right.
Hang tight while I wrap this up. Folks, that's this episode of the What Are You Made Of Show. Make sure you hit the subscribe, follow button at the top of your favorite podcast platform and keep coming back. And until next time, be that one.